Hi, and welcome to the very first episode on Haistalk. Today's guest is my very good friend Charles Xiong, who I have known for many years and is bravely here to speak about his struggle with depression. Being the first son of his family, Charles had big intentions to walk a traditional path by getting into dentistry school, scoring a job, and making his family proud. Of course, things don't always turn out as we plan, and he quickly learned that he was not happy, but this was a blessing in disguise. Charles realized his passion for bodybuilding and started competing in shows. He changed his course and decided to pursue a BS in kinesiology at the University of Minnesota. He is now certified by the National Academy of Sports Medicine and has become a personal trainer. Listen to Charles' story and how his experience with depression and a holistic philosophy has been the catalyst in helping him gain trust from his clients and how his compassion has inspired others to change their life as well.
Walk me through when you first started to realize things were going your way and you were feeling really depressed and you were losing direction in life.
For sure. Honestly, I feel like I always forget where or when it really started. But I think a big factor was, or a big point in my life when things really kind of changed was moving from breaking over into bodybuilding. And just realizing that I can't control a lot of things that I wish I could or feel like I should. And so I had to take a step back and notice that maybe being able to help one person is better than not able to help a group of people.
And breaking is breakdancing.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
Just to
Breakdancing, yes.
And so do you find that like you like that personable connection versus like, I guess like being a part of like an entire group and then pushing that forward?
I'd say it works simply because when you're in a group, everybody's agenda has to align together, and the moment that it doesn't, it kind of makes things a little difficult. Obviously, there are ways to work around those, but it takes a lot more effort, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I think for me, at that point, I needed to really figure out
Like what you wanted.
what I wanted the most. Yeah.
We talked a little bit earlier about how you were feeling really depressed and losing direction. So, like, I guess how did it feel for you? I mean, depression for males is really hard to talk about, I think. Or, I mean, I guess that's like my woman's perspective,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, how did it start, I guess, formulating for you, where you started to recognize and then you had to kind of come out with it, be like, this is something that's happening to me. How did you start talking about it or recognizing it?
If I remember correctly, I don't think like when I first had it, I guess was aware that hey, maybe this is what it is, like depression. I don't think I really felt comfortable even just bringing it up to like my uncle Ching, who's like basically a brother to me. And we literally talk about everything growing up, and we don't do that much now, obviously because we were growing up, but and we do our own things now. But in that time when we were definitely pretty much together all the time, it felt pretty uncomfortable simply because it was, I guess growing up, it was never a norm to like just share your feelings in the open, and so I guess I kind of had that mindset and that mentality just kind of like holding me back. But I gave it time, and I slowly did open up to those closest to me that I feel would understand or try their best to understand, because that's all that I really wanted at the time, was just somebody to at least try to understand and not shrug it off like it's just nothing, because a lot of times people tend to do that, or at least from like what you hear, what you see.
Yeah. And sometimes we don't always have everybody's experience.
Right.
And so holding space for each other is just the most important part, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to talk about, I guess, like you were having certain thoughts, right? Suicidal or very deep and low, and so negative feelings and things like that. I mean, there are a lot of different reasons for those things, having those thoughts. But, like, I guess, what were some of the things that you were able to utilize to cope or bring yourself out of, like, feeling really low?
Yeah. So at that time, I guess just having like good company, like company that I actually enjoy, instead of just like randomly hanging out with people who,
Yeah, face value.
yeah, I think that meant a lot because it helped me obviously focus on other things, and yeah, I think just really talking about it to the people closest to me, like I mentioned, and just sharing with them, you know, no matter how big or small, or however much or little I shared. I think just getting it out a little at a time was like really helpful. And when I was alone, it's more of trying to appreciate the everything around me that I have. That's
the little things.
Yeah, all the little things that, you know, we tend to forget a lot of times, and that definitely helped pull me back out of all the, I guess, rabbit holes that I got myself into.
Yeah, definitely. I visited a lot of rabbit holes myself. And you just gets toxic, and you're just thinking about it over and over. And you're just like, how do I get out of this? You know.
Right.
I mean, that's definitely what it is. Gratitude is one of those big things that when you just start to see blessings instead of like negativity, and then things start to shift for you.
Yeah.
The I know obviously we talked earlier, but when I guess like you want to talk about people who were, I guess, like impactful for you, like when things start to kind of shift, right, and you're getting yourself out of the rabbit hole, like when did you start recognizing like the right things were happening, the right people, you were meeting them, and like things were shifting for you by then?
Yeah. A lot of things moved, like, or at least I was pretty aware once I kind of dove into like the fitness world, and making the decision to like take up bodybuilding as a new endeavor.
Well, why bodybuilding?
Yeah.
I mean, you know, like tell the world. I know your story, but tell the world.
It's pretty, I guess, I don't know. Anyways, growing up, it's like watching wrestling, professional wrestling.
WWE.
Yeah, WWE, yeah, WWF, WWE. Basically, that was like always something that I enjoyed. I loved the athleticism that they brought. I admired the physiques that, you know, most of the athletes had. And not once was I like kind of disgusted by how, I guess, how muscular any of the guys were.
Yeah.
I was always like, man, that's the goal.
Yeah.
You know, that's the goal.
That's
like,
what I want.
I can get there. I just gotta work for it. But you know, I dove into that that lifestyle, and honestly, I don't regret it. I'm glad I did get into bodybuilding when I did. And you know, all the people I met along the way, they just like reinforced my reason why, or just overall me getting into it and continuing, or at least showing more appreciation and respect for that, you know, that way of life. Like one of the first persons ever to have made the biggest impact on me in like towards bodybuilding is one of my old roommates back in college, Jimmy Hurt. Amazing guy, super knowledgeable. When I wanted to start like competitive bodybuilding, I was introduced to Jimmy coincidentally, and then we became roommates like soon after. And, he helped me along the way. He helped me through 3 shows. I learned a lot every single show. I mean, there's always more to learn. He was always willing to teach. Um,
And these were weightlifting shows, or are these
bodybuilding
more
shows.
bodybuilding shows?
So
Okay.
obviously you're just up on stage flexing, showing off your physique, and
Okay.
you know, it's always you versus you because you always want to be the best you on
Yeah.
that day.
Mhm.
But there's always a little bit of you versus everybody else on stage too.
I mean, there's a little bit of competition there.
Just a little bit.
Yeah.
But the biggest competition is with yourself.
Yeah.
Mentally and physically, because you have to get through it. And like the only one that will get through, the only way you get through it is to do it, but also be mentally strong.
Yeah, where did
'Cause-
the confidence come from? Because you were like, I'm really low, and now you're like, I'm gonna get on stage.
Yeah, it's you start to realize along the whole journey that what you do is simply for you because like everybody is at a different path or like a different point in their journey. And if you start comparing yourself to everybody else who may be already 10 years in while you're like a year or two in, you're never going to catch up.
Yeah.
And so you go back down those rabbit holes. And this goes back to like appreciating the little things, just being able to have the opportunity to walk into a gym and work out and, improve upon what you have
Yeah.
for a healthier like person, or a healthier version of yourself.
Yeah.
And that's what I had to constantly do along the way. Is like I'm doing this ultimately for me because I want to, and I want to be a better person. And at the same time, it helps me, I guess, climb up that positive mountain of
Yeah,
thoughts,
absolutely.
rather than just constantly spiraling down. And yeah, I got a lot of respect for Jimmy because he was always there. And he introduced me to, Lowe's Camp Eunice Gym out in Minneapolis, best gym in town, some of the best people out there that you'll ever find, and yeah.
Yeah, super supportive and probably showed you everything that you need right
Mhm.
now, right?
Yeah.
Because right now you've opened up your own, like, I guess, like personal training, right?
Yeah.
So, like, walk me through, your philosophy, because obviously you've been there, right? You know what it's like to be down in the dumps, and then you meet clients who probably are not very confident in what they, have, but they see what you embody, right? And they're thinking, how do I get there? So, like, walk me through, like, what your philosophy is, and then, like, how do you consult people when you put them through your training?
Yeah. Like from my experiences, I realized that obviously when you work upon yourself, you can never work on just one aspect. Like whether it's like physical, mental, or emotional, you can't just choose one to work on.
Really?
Everything
Why not?
kind of, yeah. I wish it was that easy, like where you work on one and everything kind of uplifts itself. But you always have to be aware, I guess, of like each component because it really is on it's in a sense, it's like just a balance beam that needs to stay equal.
Yeah.
Too much physical, then you neglect the other aspects. And you kind of go like back and forth, which defeats the purpose of being a better you overall.
Yeah.
And so when I help my clients, I try to focus on that. I try to make sure that the way they feel is transparent to me, so that I understand where they are mentally and emotionally, while we're working on their physical aspects of health.
Yeah.
Because we can bench press 300 pounds, but if they're feeling like crap, I mean, is it really that beneficial to continue growing in that direction? If like somebody doesn't feel like if they wake up not feeling energized on a certain diet plan, should we continue that? Like overall, not really, because you want to enjoy what you do at the end of the day as well. And that's what I try to bring to the table is I help you understand why we're taking steps the way we are, why we're doing what we are, and if you don't feel good doing something, then we shouldn't be doing it. Because it's not like them catering to me. I'm really catering to them. I want them to be the best them.
Right, but they gotta put in their.
As long as they put in the effort.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah. So how do you recognize if people are ready to change their life?
You know, it's always like kind of I guess like the best way to look at that is if they reach out to you first. So if they reach out to me instead of me having to reach out to them, it's a different mindset in a sense because when you're ready to do something, you kind of go out and do it. But if you're still kind of thinking about doing stuff and someone comes to you and they present you with that opportunity, but you haven't fully committed, it's not going to turn out great. So I kind of take that when it comes to trying to figure out, okay, if the client is actually ready to make that, you know, that change for a better version of themselves. So a lot of times it's like I do a lot of free consultations and we just kind of sit down and we just go over like, you know, their daily life, you know, activities that they're doing currently, the way they eat currently, what their goals are, whether it's realistic or not. I help them kind of tweak those down. And if it's out of my realm, I'll be like, hey, I'm not that experienced in this, but this is what I specialize in. And if this is still something that, you know, can align with your goals and you're willing to put the work in, then, you know, we can do that. So, you know, it's just a sense of transparency. And then if they continue to follow through, then obviously they want to try. And that's the biggest thing is as long as they want to try.
Right, mentally ready to change things in their life, which is cool. Before I ask my last question here, how is it that people can find you?
Yes, so you can find me at Instagram at Charles Xiong 93 or on Facebook, Charles Xiong, or my Gmail at cxtraining21.
Cool. So my last question here is in reflection of the reason why I started this project. I really wanted to expand perception and perspective on the Hmong community. We're in a time where, you know, everybody's narrative is different now, and so why is it that we continue to keep telling the same story when we all have different experiences, and we need to embrace that instead of trying to shame each other and trying to figure out like how Hmong we are, pretty much, you know. But what's the truth is, like, we're Hmong and we live this life. So my last question here is, in what ways do you hope that your story can impact the Hmong community?
I think at the end of the day, I would like to see these topics considered taboo to be discussed more openly. Because everybody calls for change, but a lot of people still stick to what they're comfortable with. And, you know, comfort is not always progress. So showing vulnerability is, you know, is a direction that we should become comfortable with if we want to progress and grow as a community. Yeah, because there's absolutely nothing wrong with talking about your emotions.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming on the show, Charles.
Thank you, I truly appreciate this conversation.
No, I appreciate you here. Thank you.